Supergirl is the greatest movie that came out of 2026. Scratch that. The greatest comic book movie that came out this year. All right, enough with all the lies. Supergirl came out, and do I think it's the greatest comic book movie? No, not really. That whole part was just a farce. But I do believe it's not the worst. Now, here's why. I do believe this movie is overly hated by the media. This movie loosely follows the original story that's based off of. When I say loosely, that word loose is loosely based off the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow story. And to be honest with you, I think Rotten Tomato gave this a very low score, and I think it's very disingenuous on the score as well. You're telling me that this movie is worse than Thor: Love and Thunder. They're gonna say that this movie's worse than Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt was an awful movie. If you like Thunderbolt, you are an industry plan. That movie was awful. Okay, I'm never gonna get over the fact that they hug to beat the void. But I digress though. This movie isn't that bad. I do think this movie's overly hate. It does, again, like I said, loosely follow the story. And I think this movie was very entertaining. It had some good action, and it was very straightforward for what it was. Now, after me saying all these things about why I like the movie, there's a lot of reasons why I don't think this movie is that great. Number one, when I said the word it loosely follows the comic, that word loose is very, very loose. And I mean loose. As if you read the comic and you saw the movie, you'd be like, oh yeah, they got that part, but they got that part. But the rest of the movie, it kind of felt like they kind of had very independent, a very independent interpretation of what the director was going for. As in, let's talk about the biggest glaring thing in the whole movie, which is also a big spoiler. The fact that Supergirl killed the bad guy. She doesn't even kill the guy in the original story. She traps him in the Phantom Zone. That was one big thing. Number two, the fact that this movie, there was so many other interesting plot points they could have talked about, like when they erased all of the purple people and all left was blue. They could have talked about something like that. There was a lot more this book talked about, which I thought they could have put in this movie, but they chose not to. And you can't say because of runtime they didn't add any of these other features in. This movie was an hour and 50 minutes. They obviously, most movies are 2 hours. They could have put 30 extra minutes and added those extra parts. And another thing I disliked was the coloring. This movie was just not. If you would have if you would have read the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow and saw how vibrant the world was and how futuristic it is, and you saw this movie, you'll be severely disappointed. That's just like, it's all like brown and it's just a very dull looking movie, which again, I am just baffled. And again, narratively, this movie didn't really make that much sense because look, in the original story, when Krypto was narratively, this movie made no sense. Because in the original story, they go on this hunt to go find this dude, and at the end, she goes, "Oh, Krypto's fine. He's perfectly fine." She only made her follow her, so this was she can see by example on what to do, what a good person would do, because she knew in words it wouldn't have affected her decision to go get her revenge. She knew that if she saw her do all these good things, showing off how righteous she is and how kind-hearted she was, it would change her. Here, it was more like Krypto was hurt and they needed an antidote. And this is where it makes no sense at all, because I thought that the sun could heal them, because when she was getting poisoned by the green sun and the yellow sun came in, it healed her, and they showed the zoom in on how all her blood cells were being healed. I'm thinking, why can't they just take Krypto to a yellow sun? Another thing that also made no sense was, why didn't they just ask Lobo for help, or they worked together and they would have been a lot sooner? And there was just so many things about this movie that made so much no sense that I can't jam it all in this one video because it would take forever. But I am gonna say that this movie isn't the greatest, but it's not as bad. I still will prefer this movie over Thor: Love and Thunder, which completely botched the whole Gore the God Butcher thing, and Thunderbolt, which was just, the movie was awful. That movie was completely awful. But what do you guys think? Did you guys like Supergirl? Did you guys think this was the greatest movie ever? Do you guys think all the hate is justified? Speaking of the hate was justified, I can see why a lot of people were mad because the script that James Gunn said he read, he believed was made them greenlit this movie. I don't know if this guy had two scripts or something because, man, if I read the script and I saw this, I would have been like, nope. So, yeah, not the best movie. Doesn't deserve all the hate it's getting. And I don't think and this kind of was a slight hiccup to James Gunn's DCU. But you know what? This is just a quick hiccup. You can come back from this. I'm still excited to see the next projects he has up next, especially the new Superman movie. Which, by the way, I felt like this movie was also just a mini trailer for that next Superman movie. But whatever. I digress, though. Ciao.